and welcome to part 2 of my conversation with Theodore Holden on the Saturnian alignment, Herbig-Haro objects, and the planet Neptune.
Yeah, the blue associated with Venus has nothing to do with the planet's reflective surface or even its incandescent surface. It's kind of like an off-white. It's like I wouldn't want to say a beige color, but it's an off-white. The ancients described it as being of a bloody rather than a fiery redness. Okay, so it's not, within anything that you would call recorded history or anything close to recorded history, it wasn't blue. Okay.
Right.
No, but I mean it's like
naturally, yeah,
or green out of CO2. Everything to do with the overriding color temperature of its arc glow mode plasma shift. The blue associated with Venus has nothing to do with the planet's reflective surface or even its incandescent surface temperatures of its early birth. Okay, but has everything to do with the overriding color temperature of its arc glow mode plasma sheath, i.e. 6,000 to 10,000 years ago, right? Which glows blue to the naked eye, a color temperature that would have overridden the planet's hot surface light output. Green is also associated with Venus, and we'll get to that. Okay, and this would have been produced by the mixture of Venus's orange-yellow surface temperature color with its glow mode blue plasma sheath. Okay, Venus's green that's convoluted. Okay, Venus's green shade would have only been seen during the planet's quieter glow mode phases, to be replaced by sky blue when electrical stress is excited its plasma sheath into its blue arc mode phase, along with its distinctive flaring star. As long as Venus was trapped in its position between Mars and Saturn, its plasma sheath would have fluctuated between an electrical green-blue and blue, like a planetary-sized St. Elmo's glow display, which would be a match for the Shen bond jewel color. Okay, Venus's remarkable flaring star feature was produced by Venus's plasma sheath going into arc mode as Venus' connection to Saturn came under increased electrical stress, thus causing the connecting Birkeland current between Venus and Saturn to expand and fluctuate. From below, this looked like a flaring star, but from side on it would have appeared as if the strands in the arcing and twisting Birkeland current between these two planets was inflating and deflating balloon-like, the same type of phenomenon that produced the Squatterman shapes in the arc glow mode Birkeland current reaching down to Earth. Okay. It should also be noted that Venus's depiction as being blue in color shows a full circle with a uniform glow color, another indication that its color was not produced reflected light off of its surface. Also, if icy Neptune was the planet between Mars and Saturn, Earth observers would not have seen its surface color, since it would have been silhouetted by Saturn's glow like Mars was. Eventually, light from the sun would have struck Neptune from the side and produced another rotating half-crescent phenomenon, like Earth's rotating perspective, something that is simply not a part of the pictorial legacy associated with the body between Mars and Saturn. The flared star is the dominant motif. Also, Saturn's deep shade of blue, as portrayed in NASA's false color images, would not have been apparent from Earth. Rather, its sun-facing side would have appeared much more pale, almost white, due to the sun's own blue temperature light reacting with our atmosphere and canceling out the blue effect. At night, Neptune might have looked a bit more blue, but half of it would have fallen into black shadow, since Neptune's blue color is solely produced by its atmosphere, reflecting the sun's blue light spectrum. Neptune doesn't glow and shows none of the telltale signs of having once glowed that both Saturn and Jupiter do. so it does not emit any significant radio waves or X-rays. Furthermore, to place Neptune in the role of mythical Venus during the age of Saturn introduces the problem of two Venuses having to be accounted for in the mythological record at a later point. This is the thing I mentioned above, right? In other words, if Neptune isn't the blue body in the picture, then where is it, right? So in other words, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm with you.
You know, so I mean, I don't know how carefully Troy thought about this particular little item here, since we would have to reconcile the change of identification of Venus from the Neptune Venus to the concurrent arrival and identification of the new comet-like Venus, supposedly originated from Jupiter. It's also hard to see how these two separate but concurrent celestial bodies, both serving in terms as variations of the archetypal Venus and of mythology, resulted in the unremarked physical disappearance of one of those bodies, the massive Neptune, from the ancient astronomical records, while the currently identified Venus somehow became conflated and identified by ancient astronomers as being the same body that is being suggested was originally the planet Neptune. Items 1 through 6 here deal with color, right? There's one other, I want to leave the rest of these alone. It's like, you know.
Read number 7.
Okay. Which brings us to the next problem. What about in past ages, Babylonians and others described Venus as a torch careening across the heavens?
Right.
Okay. That's, you know, you could get a lot of that like in Worlds in Collision, Velikovsky's book.
But what you're saying is that Venus could still be the Venus of mythology, only the polar configuration Neptune was there instead of Venus. That's basically what you're saying.
Yeah.
What gave you that inkling?
Like I say, the most major thing is that Neptune has the right axis tilt to have been part of the Saturnian system. That is the most. There are a couple of other things in the picture as well, right?
Yeah, I was wondering, what was it that you thought about that, you know, made you think like that?
Okay, the time problem, there's a couple of time problems in the picture, right? You know, the idea of Venus having been part of some kind of a Saturnian configuration for a long period of time, and then to be described the way that it is in Greco-Roman literature as creating problems immediately that it was born. You know, that doesn't figure, okay? Now, you got item 14 here, and this document has been posted on these. I could send you a copy of this document if I haven't already. Item 14, the point is that Venus was never part of the original Saturnian system of planets that approached the Sun, but was the consequence of Saturn's core being electrically overloaded. The point is Venus was never part of the original Saturnian system of planets that approached the Sun. The consequence of Saturn's core being electrically overloaded and being captured by the Sun. Under those circumstances, this fractured piece of Saturn was never going to have an aligned axial tilt while it was still in a state of positive charge relative to Saturn's core. It could well have been caught for a time in a Z-pinch in Saturn's Birkeland current and flipped as Saturn continued to comet towards electrical and physical capture by the Sun. Axially aligned Saturnian system of planets eventually broke apart from each other. The original roughly 26-degree tilts would have been maintained, as you say, except for Venus, which was too young and volatile to have established such a tilt in the first place. Okay, this is an attempt to reply to some of this stuff. Okay, items 1 through 6. Do I have any other images that I put down here? No. As I understand it, the atmosphere of Venus is about 96% CO2. It's pretty much nothing you can do to CO2 to get green out of it. It's probably closest would be something like this, and I'm going to say return, right? That would probably be as close to blue or green as you could get from Venus.
That's pretty blue.
That's blue, but it's not the kind of blue that you see in the blue body.
It's like a powder blue.
Neptune, right? It's like it's very, very pale sort of a blue, and that's positively, I mean, you
Baby
know,
blue.
how you would get green out of that is I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
If you mix
nonetheless, there is
green
something,
and yellow, you get blue.
you know, you can come a lot closer to getting green out of methane than you
Mm.
can out of CO2, right? And you've got two things in our system which seem to have a lot of methane in them: Neptune and Titan, maybe Uranus. I'm not really sure. You
Mhm.
know, it's like Uranus. I don't know whether those images that you see are false color or what, right? It's like some of them are greenish. You know, Titan. It's like most of the images you see are green. But I don't picture. You see, I don't picture Titan having become a morning star after. I mean, Titan's not even in the icon images, right? It's like it, and Titan stuck home with Saturn, right? So I mean, after after the Earth's been captured by the Jovian system, then I don't picture Titan having been as a green morning star, right? It's at least some ancient literature speaks of a green morning star, which we would normally assume to have been Venus simply because of the term morning star, right? The Mayan Bible is called the Popol Vuh, right? For instance, this is you can find this here. It's like on MesoWeb. Now, when they came from Tulan, Zuya, right? They did not eat. They fasted continuously. Yet they fixed their eyes on the dawn, looking steadfastly for the coming forth of the sun. They occupy themselves in looking for the great star, which appears first before the birth of the sun. Okay, and I don't picture anybody describing Titan as a great star, right? The face of this green morning star, like 500, okay, footnote 570, always appears at the coming forth of the sun, right? When they were there at a place called, the gods came to them. Okay, so that you've got the Mayans claiming that, you've got a green morning star, at a period when the sun and Jupiter were first having to be dealt with, right? Now, what is going to work as a green morning star? I don't picture it being Venus because, this is after the Great Capture event, and Venus, once you disconnect it from the, from the Birkeland current of Saturn, then I mean, if there was anything that was going to make Venus look blue or green prior to that, that's not, that's gone, right? In other words, after the Great Capture event, Venus is going to very quickly pick up its natural color, which is Romans described as being of a bloody rather than a fiery redness. Okay? You see what I'm saying? There's another time problem with this. Did I just lose you with that, Jay or Greg?
Okay.
Greg, you there?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
I'm sorry, your voice just went. Because the Mayans claiming that they were seeing a green morning star after the Earth had been captured by the Sun Jupiter system. Right now, I don't see how that green morning star at that point in time could have been Venus, right? In other words, Venus at that point would have been if it had come from Saturn and if it was still visible and it was still something we had to contend with after we were captured by the Sun Jupiter system, then it would no longer be blue or green if it ever had been, right? It would be red.
Okay.
It would have picked up its normal color in our present age of the world, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
I see that. I'm with you there.
okay. If the color of the blue body was being generated by plasma physics phenomena prior to the GCE, the Great Capture event, then nobody would have thought of it as the morning star. Prior to the GCE, its color and appearance would have been steady regardless of time of day. Okay, that's another time problem. So, that means the time period during which the Mayans were referring to the blue body as a morning star had to have been after the capture event, not before it. That would appear to rule out Venus. After being disconnected from the Birkeland current of Saturn, Venus would quickly have assumed its post-GCE color scheme. Okay, bloody rather than a fiery redness. This also implies that the green morning star, which the Mayans referred to, would have been. There's three possibilities, right? So you've got Neptune, Uranus, and Titan, right? Titan I would rule out, and I would also rule Titan out as ever having been the blue body in the Saturn blue body Mars alignment, right? I mean, if Titan was ever behind Mars, you never would have seen it at all. It's not as big as Mars. So Titan is somewhere closer to Saturn or orbiting or something. But I mean, it's not part of the oceanography.
I think it's younger than Earth.
I don't know. I'm not an expert on Titan. Like I say, this stuff is, I said a priori, this stuff is outside of my, it's above my pay grade, really. Best way to describe it, right? I mean, there's stuff here which I'm not an expert on, right? But I'm just talking about things which you would have to apply, what you call Occam's razor to, and decide whether you want to go with the, with the simpler and more direct fits rather than something which requires a contrived fit. Okay. There might be some question as to what Dr. Budge and others might have been referring to in translating the word emerald. However, when they talk about shedding pure emerald light over the world, I would be content to go with the Egyptian artwork, which always showed Osiris being green. And again, okay, I can't picture Venus ever having been drawn this way.
Who's and Budge?
And I don't have that picture with me right now. It's like, okay. Let me get back to a web browser. It's not hard to do, right? Just Osiris. I thought that was going to have those images in it.
There it is.
Okay. How did the Egyptians draw Osiris? Well, and they always painted him being green.
Green, or sometimes I see him black.
But
usually green, like Saturn.
Here's a darker green, right? These are taken from the walls of the pyramids.
What's that?
I said these images are taken from the walls of the pyramids.
Right. There are no hieroglyphics in the Great Pyramid, but there are in the others, right?
Okay, well, I don't know if you would call these hieroglyphics, right? I mean, they're images. And like I say, Osiris is always drawn.
And Velikovsky argued that is because he's the god of seeds.
Because what?
Because he's the god of seeds, Saturn. Or, the god of the harvest.
That is, if you regard Osiris as being Saturn, right? That's not clear to me either. It's like, I would, my guess would be that Osiris is basically Neptune.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying. Okay. Well, I never thought of it. I never kicked that around before.
Yeah.
That's a cool.
Okay. I don't see Saturn ever having been green either. That's.
Well, plus the way Saturn is wrapped, it looks like it's wrapped in bandages. That was Velikovsky said that they wrap the mummies, they're dead, just like their god, Osiris.
Okay.
And that was why he thought Osiris was Saturn.
I'm guessing the difference between Neptune and Venus might have been basically the difference between Osiris and Sekhet. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, I remember reading that chapter in Worlds in Collision, The Wailing of Tammuz.
Yeah.
It's the Tammuz is a month in the Jewish calendar, I think.
Yeah.
They're wondering why would a Babylonian god, be in the Jewish month, or year. And it must have been that he did something. And that was when Velikovsky connected that to Osiris, the god of seeds, and all that.
So, again, like I say, you can make a case for or against this, right? But it's like, as near as I can tell, just I haven't gone over it as much as I have.
What do you think Neptune is composed of? I mean, it looks like it's water, but it's not, right? It's like gas.
At least as far as the atmosphere goes, right? It's like they say it's like about 98% hydrogen and helium, and
Hmm.
about
What do you get when you mix hydrogen and helium?
just not, I don't think they mix. I think you just get hydrogen
Okay.
and helium. And then the other thing is methane, right? They say that methane is like 1.5 or 2% of the atmosphere. But the hell of it is, I don't know whether they're meaning, by volume or by mass. It's like, if you mean by volume,
It's
then,
also super cold.
yeah, yeah, if you mean by volume, then it's not telling you much, it's not telling you the whole story, right? Because it's like, hydrogen and helium are the two lightest elements that there are, right? Whereas carbon,
Yeah.
methane is going to be a lot heavier, right? And apparently you can get green, at least using methane in some, or using methane in some combinations of things, and applying electricity, right? So I mean, that's what I'm assuming would have been the case. Let me get back to the browser here and just say,
Well, now you've come in and tripped everything up. You threw a wrench in the works, Ted.
I don't know if I'm throwing a wrench in the works, but it's like I think there's a good chance that they made a mistake.
I agree that everyone has the right to be wrong.
I'm not saying I couldn't. I'm not saying I could prove this or demonstrate it or try to argue it in a debate, right? But
It's
like,
an interesting hypothesis.
if I had to put money on it, this is the way I would bet it.
Hmm.
I would bet that the blue body in the iconography that you see. I mean, you really have to work some at trying to make Venus do everything that that Eve or that Troy are wanting to have it do, right? I mean, that's really that's a terribly complicated set of things that have to happen, right? Whereas what I'm describing is very much simpler.
Hmm.
Having Venus, be ejected from the equatorial region of Jupiter explains the near zero axis tilt. It explains the retrograde spin, and both of these are anomalous, right? Otherwise, it's like I don't see any kind of a way to get to that starting from Venus being part of Jupiter or Saturn rather.
Yeah, I get it. I
Do you
get
see
it.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Oh, yeah, I do. I see what you're saying. I'm with you.
You've got a round peg and a round hole versus a square peg and a round hole, right?
It would make more sense.
Okay. It's like having Venus ejected from the equatorial region would cause it to spin backwards the same way as two gears meshing. You see what I'm saying? It would spin off of the outside part of Jupiter as it leaves.
So you agree with Velikovsky that Venus came from Jupiter?
If I had to put money on it, yes.
It certainly would make more sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Because Venus is nothing like the Earth, and the Earth, if it came from Saturn, then that doesn't, it would make more sense if Venus came from Jupiter. Plus, you got the red spot, and it fits Venus perfectly.
Like I say, I mean, you've got a list of things which
Hmm.
just fall together easily, if that blue body is. The only thing you still have to explain is like what exactly was this green morning star after the Kepler event and after Venus would certainly have lost any ability to shed green light over anything. If it ever, that is, if there's any way you could ever get Venus to look green at all. Give me just a second. Let me get back into the browser.
I would like to see a polar alignment with Venus or Mars, Neptune, and Saturn to see what it would look like. I could probably do that on my sandbox.
Let me see if I can find this. It's like uh, images, methane and plasma, right? It's not, yeah, I mean, first time I ever need to find something like that, it's going to have disappeared. I was seeing this like I was doing the same kind of search a few days ago, and it was showing me green flames, the flames which were at least partly.
Yeah, that's why I always save it if I like it. There you go.
Okay.
So what color does methane burn?
I don't know if this is showing methane here, promising alternatives to fossil fuels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Methane apparently, if
Yeah,
you,
they still pretend the electric force doesn't exist.
yeah,
Trying
methane,
to find ways to destroy something to get fuel.
if you add other things to it and light a match to it, then you can get green.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to have to get together. I'm going to have to send some kind of an email off to Don Scott. Say, Don, what exactly would it take for Neptune to look green?
Right,
As
right.
far as this green morning star goes, conceivably could have been Titan, but I mean that's very hard to explain how that would have looked like a green morning star to us, and then ended up back with Saturn, right?
Right. Yeah.
Conceivably could have been Uranus, right? If
Well,
I those two things have some green in them, right? It's like if I say,
I have a picture of Saturn. I don't know what wavelength it was photographed in, but it looks as green as a golf course.
you're kidding me.
No, I have it. I'll send it to you if you want me to. It's amazing.
Because I've never seen that. It's like you want to just type in Saturn, right?
It just looks like fairways and greens. I'll send it to you. I'll email it to you.
Um,
I'll show it in this video.
these are pictures of Saturn, right? And it's like,
Hmm.
golden, right? I
Let me
mean,
see, let's
how
see
much
if
of
I.
that is false color, I don't know, but they called it the golden age, right? They didn't call it the green age.
Right, right. Yeah, that's true, but I seem to remember something about emerald light and gold. I don't know why I keep thinking about that, but I've heard it before.
Yeah, and none of these pictures of Saturn that you see when you just do a Google image search on infrared view of Saturn, okay, that shows green, right, in infrared light, but
Right, in infrared, yeah.
um,
I have to get that. Like I said, I have to email that picture to you. I'd show it right now, but I got to find it. I don't know exactly
Titan
where
has
it's at.
methane, but it has a lot more of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give me a second. Google search Titan.
Just see something here. Saturn. Is it here?
Shouldn't say planet, I should say moon. Images. You see, Titan could easily look green, right? But I mean, could Titan shed green light over the universe, or could Titan have appeared as a green morning star after it had been? You see, I don't see how Titan's going to be captured by Jupiter and then get recaptured by Saturn. That's asking for an awful lot. That's
Yeah,
that,
yeah. It's gonna get a little confusing.
But you see,
Yeah.
Titan does have methane, right? And it's like odd bright patches on. Okay, Moon Titan has key ingredient methane, right?
Oh, I see.
It's
Yeah.
not that hard to get green out of Titan. If green is all you need, right? But there's a couple of other things that you need, right? Um, like I said,
Hmm.
I don't picture Titan being the blue body in the iconography because you wouldn't even see it. It would be hidden beyond Mars. It's not as big as Mars.
Right.
Okay. Um, Uranus. Give me a second. I don't know if you'd call that a pale blue or pale green, right?
Yeah, it's light.
But nobody would call that shedding emerald light over the rings of Uranus. Here's somebody it's got to be false color, right?
It depends on what wavelength they photograph it in. If they do it in infrared or if they do it in gamma or, they can do
There's
all
nothing
kinds.
I see that I would expect, say smells like farts, right? But You know, there's nothing I see here in these search results which indicate something that's going to shed pure emerald light over the Earth.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm still,
Poor Uranus,
yeah,
the butt of all the
wrong
jokes.
about that. It's like, I mean, in theory, it's like, the green morning star could be Uranus or it could be Neptune, right? I would still
I
tend,
like that picture. It says no joke. Uranus smells something right there. The real blue one. You just passed it. Well, okay. No biggie. Oh, there's a good one of Neptune.
yeah, okay, rebranding of Uranus.
Yeah, it's either Uranus or Uranus.
Uranus, yeah. We need a reasonable system of spelling and writing for English. We don't have one. It's like, you know,
Magnetic field switches open and closed. Hmm.
okay, but that's basically the question of Uranus or Neptune rather versus Venus. I mean, I
Mhm.
believe that the bulk of evidence favors Neptune as having been part of that Saturnian alignment.
I
Like
see.
it has nothing to do with the price of gasoline or the price of pickles. It's not crucial to my theory. I don't even see that it's that terribly crucial to David Talbot's theory. But it's one of the details that I'd want to get right if it was me, you know. And
Yeah.
all I'm trying to do is to put this out in front of people where the people that are involved in these Saturn stories, where eventually they could get you'd like to get it straight. You wouldn't, rather than leave it to the next generation to try to straighten out.
Well, people are either going to like it or they're not. I think it's a pretty cool hypothesis. I think it's interesting. At least it puts it in people's
Yeah.
heads, and something else may come along down the road and trip and hey,
Other,
lines up.
other branches of the Velikovsky and neocatastrophism family, who aren't part of the Thunderbolts group, right? And they
Yeah.
have never been happy about anybody claiming that Velikovsky got something like this wrong. I would think that they would be happy about this.
I've always had the point of view that I would never bet against Velikovsky.
Oh no,
Because he's usually always right.
yeah, he's the premier scholar of the last century, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, this is the most major piece of scholastic work over the last 150 years or so.
The man was dragging himself around at 77 on the road to get his message out. I mean, he's dedicated to trying to churn the human race around. I have to
Right, right.
give him all the credit in the world for that.
Oh yeah. Now he believed that there was a very big deal involved with what he called, like mankind and amnesia, like this collective amnesia, which prevents the human race from trying to deal with, the history of all this violence and cosmic disaster, right?
Right. Yeah, I really enjoy his reading. He's a good author, you know.
Right. Now, there's several other kinds of things which he didn't get into, which I think, in order to understand human history, right, I think you have to get into some of these other things. The question of the telepathic age, the question of idolatry and what these idols actually amounted to, right? Pantheon gods and goddesses, I think, were in three parts. They consisted of three things. You've got like the cosmic body, which is what you're actually, which is the original form of one of the pantheon gods or goddesses, right? I mean, these were astral religions. They were worshiping things they saw in the sky. So you've got a cosmic body. You've got these interior voices, which were associated with the gods and goddesses, like you read about in the Iliad. Okay, where we've got gods and goddesses telling these people what to do out there on a battlefield, like
Yeah.
villages in town. And this is and then you get into Julian James, like the son of Sam, right? In other words, the being told to fight wars and sacrifice children at the behest of these gods and goddesses, right? And then you've got these idols which represent the gods and goddesses on Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've got children you've got some of these stupid things would have like arms with hands held out, and then some sort of a crank or some sort of a thing that they would turn. They would put some poor little kid on this thing's hands, and they would turn the crank or drop the whatever it was that activated the thing. And it's going to toss this little kid right into its mouth and down into like some kind of a barbecue grill or something down inside the thing. You see,
it's terrible.
well, yeah, I mean, this is now the Israelites were the first group of people, as far as I can tell, to figure out that all of this was a bad idea. You know, they should no longer be worshiping dwarf stars. Okay, and the Old
Have you ever read Savior's article on the giants?
No.
I'll have to forward it to you. It's only 7 or 8 paragraphs, but it's really interesting. I think you'll find it.
Yeah, I understand giants, right? I mean, you had like giant humans and giant hominids.
His hypothesis is that it was the giants who created the human race because they knew they were dying because of the gravity switch. And they created, at the end, when they were like lumbering and couldn't hardly move, they were making people, they gave people the idea of sacrifice so that they could have food. That was the whole hypothesis. Yeah, it's interesting. Read out. I'll send it. I did a video on it.
Yeah. It's funny because you've got like giant humans and giant hominids in past ages. Goliath was a giant human, spoke a human language.
Right. Yep.
Right. Goliath of Gath. Now, the giants that Flavius Josephus describes as fighting against Israel with the Amorites were very obviously not humans, right? He describes them as being, having countenances so totally different from those of normal men that they were surprising to the sight and frightening to the hearing, right? So all they could do was roar, right? They didn't have spoken language, right?
Right.
Those are giant hominids. Those were not giant humans.
Right. Well, that was where the Bigfoot idea came from.
Yeah, you've got humans or hominids being described like in journal articles in the United States, like in the 1800s, right, in the Ohio Valley. Other places we had these burial mounds, and they were finding what they called, skeletons of people with archaic features, so similar to the Neanderthal, right? Sloping foreheads, huge eyes, all this kind of stuff. And those are all disappeared, right? So it's like somebody really needs to ask the Smithsonian Museum or the Smithsonian Institute, like what happened to all that stuff, right? Where'd you put it, right? I mean,
Well, that Ramon has a very good argument on them mounds down in Kentucky and Ohio Valley. They have the octagon made, and they have these circles, and it perfectly matches the North Pole of Jupiter and the South Pole. Now, how the heck would they have figured that out?
I don't know.
He did the measurements, and he's like, this is absolutely, you take a picture of Jupiter, North Pole, and a picture of the top of the mounds, looks exactly the same.
That's interesting. I'd have to see it.
Yeah, I'll show you a copy. And there's also octagons in England that match the North Pole of Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Did I cover everything that's like?
I think so. Yeah, I think you did a really good job. It's well written. That's for sure. And I understand your whole hypothesis. Sure. What is that link there? What does that go to? Go back up. There was a link, something about Earth. It was up. There it is, right there. Or Earth's age. Yeah.
The reason for believing that the Earth is like a few 100,000 to a few million years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. If you want to get into it, it's okay.
No, that's okay. It's like I'm sort of. I think we've done enough for tonight.
Okay. Yeah. It was good, Ted. I enjoyed it.
Okay. This file is also in the file section of the two Facebook groups, which correspond to the Ganymede hypothesis. One is called Ganymede hypothesis. The other is called Neanderthal realities.
Can you send me those links via email so I can put them in the video?
I'll send those to you. Now, there's another subject that keeps coming up, which is the question of atlatls, right? The difference between, Cro-Magnon, the difference between the human groups on the Earth, which is like, Cro-Magnon descendants versus the descendants of Noah and Adam. Adam
I,
and Noah.
I have a nice atlatl picture to share with you.
Oh, look, it's like there's I'll send you some stuff. There's been all kinds of stuff going back
Okay,
and forth
okay.
about atlatls, like both on my own little group, and there's a Facebook group which is called Neanderthal Information Depot or something like that.
Hmm.
Atlatl Information Depot. Give me a second.
I have it somewhere.
Yeah, I think back to Facebook and type atlatl. Atlatl. Atlatl Information Exchange on Facebook, right? This is good stuff. Okay.
There, yeah, it is. That's good. I've seen that video.
This is colossal here. This is the guy that's really doing it right. I've posted a couple things
Oh, I
here.
wanted to see that. That was good. I was going to see. Oh,
Boy,
there he is.
come back. This guy's doing. These two guys both are doing it right. This
Boom.
this guy.
Yeah, I like that. He knocked that balloon out, took it out.
Yeah, he says it's only 15 yards. I think he's. I don't think he understood the
That looks
question.
like it's about 30 yards, maybe, or 30 feet,
Yeah,
maybe.
more like
45 feet.
looks more like 30 yards, maybe 35. I don't know, but I mean that's dead bang, blow.
Yeah, the camera always makes it look further away, though.
Yeah, I mean
That's pretty good. That's good shooting.
this other guy is also he's showing you how to make an atlatl starting with nothing, right? I
Is
mean,
this your website? Is this your Facebook?
no, this is YouTube. Skip
No,
out.
I know, but was that your Facebook page?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you showed that before, Ted. I've seen this.
And
Yeah.
this guy is really, this guy's turning weight into it. I mean, he's really getting all the power.
Yeah, he makes it right out of the tree.
Yeah, a lot of the videos that I see show guys are getting good accuracy, but they're not getting good power, right?
Right.
Whereas
Yeah.
like
You want power.
a moose or an elk or a Neanderthal got hit with this, wouldn't.
Yeah, it might piss it off.
No, it'd do more than piss him off. I mean, it'd be hurting.
Yeah, he would be, but I mean, I could see it.
He's knocking that heavy piece of wood over when he hits it.
If you just wounded it, I could see it getting mad. You'd have to reload real quick.
Yeah, so this guy's turning all of his weight into it. I mean, it's like watching somebody like Roberto Duran or Julian Jackson hit people, right? I mean, same thing, right? I mean, whatever Duran weighed that morning is what the guy was getting hit with. I mean, he was not into arm punching.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
It's good stuff, Ted. Always interesting to talk to you, man.
I hope so. It's like,
always.
This is sort of like vindication of Velikovsky, I think, to some extent. I mean, I think it says that there's more than, I would say there's more than even chance of Velikovsky having been right as like where Venus came from. Right. Like I said, it's got absolutely nothing to do with the price of onions or pickles today, right? But
right.
It's just one of these things that's good not to leave this to the next generation.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was really interesting. There's a lot of ways, there's a lot of people with a lot of different theories, like you said. And, this just adds to the flavor,
No. Like I said, I mean, it's like it's, Neptune is a very much more natural fit. As is also the idea of claiming that Venus arose from, was ejected from the equatorial region of Jupiter. You
Right.
know,
And, that's the great thing about Saturn theory is that, there's a lot of arguments that can be made for it. Accretion is it's just asinine.
you know,
We know that some form of Saturn theory took place. And it's fun to hypothesize about it.
right.
Because it's interesting because we want to know our origins. How are we ever going to know them if we don't talk about them?
Right. Anyway, you've got something to work with here for a
Yeah,
couple of videos.
for sure. It was
Okay?
fun. I had a good time.
Okay. Well,
All right, you want to hang up now?
yeah, I've got a
Okay,
couple of
Ted.
stuff I need to get back to.
All right, buddy. I'm gonna, give me a few days to tweak it and work it, and I'll have it up. And I'll let you know. I'll give you a copy before I send it.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, Ted. Take
Catch
care,
you.
my friend.
Bye.
All right, bye. I recently posed this question to the general audience of the Electric View. What is the major deciding factor of a planet or star's axis tilt? I got a response from Athens. It is, well, if Walt Thornhill is right, and the planets are hollow, from electrical layering, it stands to reason that there may be multiple layers beneath the surfaces of increasingly large spheres, like spheres within spheres. For the celestial spheres in the solar system, besides the Sun and maybe the gas giants, it may just be one small hollow planetoid in the center of these bodies. Those central planetoids would be repelling contact with the inner layer and maintaining the overall orbit around the center of the solar system's Bergman current, while the surfaces are free to gyrate or tilt. Just my guess, though. Best ask EE. Well, I did. I posed a question to Neil and to Walt Thornhill, and I have not gotten a response yet. That's a good comment. I think weight distribution has a lot to do with it, and I think that the electric force has a lot to do with it. Adusa wrote, the spin, focus, centrifugal, and centripetal dictate that the spin axis is stationary. That was a short and sweet one. See if I have anyone else that answered it. There are those that say that the tilt axis of the Earth has been moved and jostled around more than once. Velikovsky wrote, it could have possibly been temporarily moved, not permanently moved,
that it was moved,
but snapped back in place. The fact that all of these four planets, Earth, Mars, Saturn, and Neptune, the tilt axis, are all very close to one another, it indicates strongly to me that they were perhaps at least introduced to the Sun and then fixed at that particular tilt electromagnetically. The question is a perplexing one. What holds the planets in their certain axis tilts? Do you think it's simple weight distribution? Of course, it has to have something to do with electromagnetism over weight distribution only. Everything does. To me, it indicates family members. They are too alike to be just the simple victims of chance, where it's got moved here or there. Earth could have been flipped 180 degrees, and also there is magnetic indicators in the rocks that the Earth has changed its rotation at least twice. So that would indicate something catastrophic taking place. There is a lot of diversity in all of these things. When it comes to opinions on the matter, the question is a good one. What holds a planet in its certain axis tilt? The weight distribution could have a lot to do with its barycenter. True, so I would think it's probably a combination of the two. Its weight distribution and electromagnetism. That would be my best guess. Like Troy McLaughlin says, there is indication that at one time we had a different North and South Pole. The rabbit holes you can go down with Saturn theory are endless. They're mind-boggling. That's why I love them. Please comment, share, like, and please donate to the cause if you can. A couple of bucks is all it takes, and you'll never have to wait for a premiere again.